6.5 at 6.89 3/4. May corn down 6 1/4 at 6.91. July down 5.5 at 6.85 1/4. November soybeans up 1.5 at 13.85 1/4. January unchanged at 13.92 3/4. March down a penny at $14. May down 2 cents at 14.07. Soybean meal closed down 10 cents a ton at 4.11. October live cattle up 87.87. December up $1.42 at 149.20. October feeder cattle up 95 cents at 174.75. November up 162 at 176.40. December lean hogs up 270 at 84.95. February up 255 at 85.97. April up 265 at 89.60. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right. I'm the Doctor of Truth. And the truth is Dan Lewandowski, the Webster County Veterans Affairs. Are you the administrator or what are you?
Technically, executive director.
Look out!
That's what the Iowa code says anyway.
Don't you love those names they give you after you're out of the service? Before it was just corporal, private, airboy, whatever.
How about just good guy?
Good guy works. By the way, the Webster County Veterans Affairs office is at 723 First Avenue South here in town, and you may contact his office by calling 515-573-1479. That's 573-1479. I know that because Dan hands out every now and then little sticky calendars. A lot of people don't use these anymore, but I use them all the time. You know, the type that stick on the refrigerator or on the dashboard of your car. In my case, I've had last year's or this year's actually on the council for all year long. I've had it, and I think you've probably given me these things the last few years, haven't you?
Right. So it starts off in December, then it hits the new year. And I always tell people it's December because my birthday's in December. So 2 chances to get me a birthday present.
By the way,
they never do.
By the way, if you want to see what kind of Robert Redford we got on the air here,
good.
We're on StreamYard. Go to my Facebook page or go to the radio station Facebook page, which is at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. You'll see Dan there. And by the way, if you have a question or comment for the executive director of Veterans Affairs here in Fort Dodge, now's the time. I've been over to see Dan many times over the years, and he's always been as helpful as possible. If he doesn't know, he'll get into his computer and find out. So you have some good news for veterans who are disabled.
Well, I got all kinds of stuff going on.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say that we're having a veteran outreach on this Saturday.
That's right.
From 9 to noon at the Bio Center on Iowa Central campus. And it'll be myself and others there giving information because, believe it or not, I don't know it all. So
I don't believe that at all.
So we break it down, and different people will be talking about different VA things. And, you know, a lot of it you may have heard before, but there's always might be something out there. And or if you run into another vet, you say, hey, did you know? So we're going to have that. It's going to be from 9 to noon on Saturday. And then
Saturday's the 22nd. Wow, month is just flying by.
You know it. So appreciate you showing up and just seeing what's all out there in the VA world. And like I said, you might have heard it before, some of it, but it's always good to hear it again and or maybe something new. So I want to make the veterans aware of that. I want to make the veterans aware of what's coming up on November, dealing with Veterans Day, as always. On the day itself, the 11th at 10:30 at St. Ed's would be the a program there. And then also at 12:30 at Iowa Central in the Greehey building, if I say that right. Iowa Central personnel put on a very, very nice program for the veterans. So I highly encourage all veterans.
They do, always do.
Yeah, they sure do. And so on the 10th, tentatively right now, senior high will also have an event at 9 o'clock.
Senior high will?
Yeah. Then they have one a couple, maybe last 5 years or so. But the people that were running it have since moved. So they have some new people. So we're not 100% sure of the intricacies yet. However, again, I highly encourage all veterans and their families to come out to these events that people take the time to show their appreciation.
November 11th, right?
Well, the one at senior high right now is going to be on the 10th.
10th, all right. But 11th is actually the day, right?
It is the day, and it's kind of nice that they have one the day before, so we're not like picking and choosing, so you can attend all three of them right now.
Right.
So that's a good thing. So again, just show your support for those that take the time to say thank you to you, to the veterans.
Grandma used to call November 11th Armistice Day.
Yep.
That's what it was originally.
That's what it was. Then also, of course, the local eateries, Hy-Vee's got the breakfast.
By God, they're good people.
Yes, and Village Inn also has a nice breakfast.
They do.
They do, yeah. Applebee's.
Applebee's is always good.
And then, of course, I think that the VFW has a bean bake or something of that nature there.
They do.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And then I want to give a shout out to the Hy-Vee. Whoever had this great idea is that they got 4 parking spots for the local heroes of what category 1 is the veterans. So I want to give Hy-Vee a big shout out to that because I appreciate that. And that's all I have as far as
that's
events
all
right
you
now.
have, huh?
Right.
That sounds like a lot to me. Way to go, Dan. That's great.
I do also want to say that if you're not aware of it, all the veterans out there, dependents and that are getting a compensation through the VA, that you're probably aware of it already, but if not, you will be getting an 8.7% increase in the VA disability.
8.7.
That's going to hit in December, so you should see it in January.
Okay.
So whatever percentage you're getting, it depends, and then it goes off of that.
Okay.
So that's, for some people, that's huge. So it's a good thing, I guess. You know,
It's definitely.
will it keep up with inflation?
No, probably not.
No, but it makes us feel good.
Well, no, it won't keep up with inflation, but it's better than getting nothing.
Well, exactly. Well, there was one year it was nothing.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, this is the biggest increase that Congress has allocated since, I want to say, 70, 71.
That long, really?
Yeah. So
They've had little ones over the years.
Oh yeah,
Not-
but
not
I mean the
this
biggest
big.
one. Yeah, the biggest one was like 11%. But usually it's around maybe 1 or maybe 3%.
Okay.
So there's a big difference for those that are 70, 80, 90, 100% service connected. So
Okay.
that's huge. And
It
so that-
is.
yeah. But they have lots going on in the VA world and a lot of questions. And again, if you have anything you don't want to call about, but you want to come see me, feel free to. You are not taking up my time. That's
And
why-
here's the number again, ladies and gentlemen. It's 515-573-1479. 573-1479.
right. And
You have a Facebook page. I mean, the county
one. Yeah. I haven't graduated individually to that.
Oh, you're
yet.
not. Oh, you're just on the county page.
Just yeah. I'm just not there yet. Maybe one day.
Okay.
But I just want to make the everyone aware of the availability. And if I'm not there, you know, I do take a day off for vacation every once in a while, believe it or not. Or I'm at school. I just got back from school from last week. I want to talk about
High school you're talking about here?
Yeah, I wish.
No, really, what kind of school were you at?
Yeah,
I mean, what sort of training were you getting?
For all the county veteran service officer down in
Okay.
Des Moines, we have a spring and a fall school,
Okay.
and we go over just stuff that's happening. And
Because the rules always, the laws always change it in small ways.
and they are, and it's good to hear it again. Different things, different people's perspective, and what the law actually says. And with that, of course, in August 10th, the signing of what they call the PACT Act, which is a huge in the VA world as far as benefits for veterans, basically all the way from the Vietnam War coming forward. Presumption conditions, there used to be just from Agent Orange, conditions like diabetes or hearts or stuff like that.
Yeah.
They've added.
I know somebody has that condition.
They've added a couple more for the Agent Orange presumption condition list. They've added the whole countries of Thailand, which was huge, Laos, Cambodia, American Samoa, and Guam, and they have also have, gosh, what is it? 23. I think it's 23 or 33. I can't remember. I apologize for that. But conditions from the burn pits. from Iraq.
Oh, that's right.
And that's huge.
That is huge.
Right. And there's two different categories. One started after the Gulf War to include certain countries. And then from September 11th going forward, different countries as well off of that one. But again, there's a whole list of it, what they call presumptive conditions, meaning if it was diagnosed while you're in the military or since you got back, but you served in those
areas.
countries, we'll
Yeah.
say, it's a slam dunk that you will get compensated for your service. That's
You
a
think
good
so?
thing. Now,
Yeah, it is.
Now, well, here's the thing too. I mean, every once in a while, I'll get a veteran saying, "Oh, there's somebody worse than me." That they well, that's true,
That is true.
but it's not true too. I mean, the money is there for you,
Yeah.
so it's not like you're robbing from somebody that's doesn't deserve it, but you deserve it too.
Yeah.
So-
Well, if you see a guy without legs and he's blind, he deserves everything.
Right.
Everything.
Right.
That doesn't mean a guy who lost a finger or has, as you say,
Right.
diabetes or something, or
Right.
something from Agent Orange, which was nasty business at
Right.
Agent Orange.
Right.
Doesn't mean that person, as you say, shouldn't apply
Right.
and receive some sort of compensation. Those are, being in a war zone, that's dirty business. That's dirty business. There's a lot of ugly things going on. I mean, some of the things, like
Yeah.
Agent Orange, nobody had any idea at the
Right.
time.
Right.
And
Right.
I don't think anybody had any idea as far as burn pits were going.
No.
Please explain burn pits. I've heard that. I think I know what that is, but I'm not. Do you know what a burn pit is?
That's a garbage dump.
It's a so what? I mean, we had garbage dumps that we burned stuff everywhere.
I
I mean,
know.
was there some sort of chemical the guys the
Well,
young men were burning? Or?
yeah. Well, I can't say 100% sure because I wasn't over there. However, I guess you name it, they burnt it, and whatever it was toxic or not, they just burnt it. So
I happen to know a young man who was there 2 years and was awarded the Purple Heart. That would be my son, of course. I'm going to have to check him out. I'm going to have to text him and see what
Yeah.
a burn pit is because he would know.
yeah.
He would know. He knows. Knows a lot about those things. Well, that's for the younger men, and of course that was up. The weapons have gotten so incredible. I mean,
Right.
both sides, just unbelievable.
Right.
And the firepower and the distance that a sniper can shoot is just incredible.
Right.
So yeah,
But it's again, this is hot off the press in August, so it's about 2 months old. But coming from the school from last week, they're still having somewhat of a hard time deciphering some of it when it comes to the Camp Lejeune water toxicity, if I say that's a word, meaning the water at Camp Lejeune was polluted.
I that isn't a veteran. Is that a Veterans Affair thing, or is that just something that lawyers got together and said?
Both.
That's both.
Both.
Okay.
But there's a lot of intricates that are still like, well, some of it's black and white, and some is going to say, well, we'll see how the first case goes. Okay, you do have a 2-year time frame to technically sue the government.
Okay.
Okay, this is for family members. It's got to go through the courts of North Carolina.
In North Carolina.
Yeah, so how it all going to play out,
Nobody knows.
not at this point.
Not at this point.
I mean, there's some like this, but here's the thing too. I don't watch TV at my house, but when I was down in the school, I was in the ball games around. So I watched the ball games, and all they had was commercials for this. These lawyers are just like they got the fishing hook out.
Yes, they do. And they're trying. Well, the more they think they can get overloaded, it's
Right.
a lawyer tactic.
I'm sure it is, but so
They're in it to make some money and stuff, and that's what lawyers do.
if you pursue this, and if there is a possibility of monetary gain,
They're on it.
but for the veteran or a family member, be very, very cautious and wise about this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, because you might want to up front, it might sound good, but taking a step back, because if you're a veteran, you cannot double dip. So if you get something from the lawyer, and you're getting a compensation, say at, I don't know, let's say you got a Agent Orange diabetes,
Right.
and now you want to, not Agent Orange, I can't use that, but let's say you got diabetes from the water,
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting, say, at 50%, and you're also getting for hearing loss, they suspend, as the way I understand it right now, they'll suspend that 50% for your diabetes. And so they have to equate that in there. You still keep what you're getting for the hearing loss.
Yeah.
So you can't double dip.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And that's important information too.
Yeah. And then then another thing, let's say you use a lawyer and you get a claim for, I don't know, say $200,000. Okay. And they get awarded $200,000 for whatever your issue is.
Yeah.
But before, the lawyer says, hey, I'm going to take a 40% cut off of this.
Yeah. Okay.
So now you're going to pay that lawyer $80,000. Plus that lawyer might have some hidden costs. Could be. So maybe that's
Gee, you think so?
maybe that's
Oh, by the way,
that's 10,000. So now your 200,000 that you thought you're going to get is actually 110,000.
well,
So
a good lawyer will explain that to you.
Well,
But
yeah,
a bad lawyer won't.
right.
Really, you got to pick the lawyers. Fortunately, ladies and gentlemen, if any of you have a claim in town, I don't know if, Janice Valentine, Nevin Mulholland, a lot of our lawyers here in town, Stu Cochran, well, I guess Nevin and Stu are in the same firm. But anyway, they're very familiar with worker compensation claims. I don't know if there's an attorney here in town that deals specifically with veterans claims, but I bet those guys could get up to speed pretty fast. Those people could get
I
up
would
to-
think so. There's nothing I know.
And I'm saying that because I know those guys, and I know Janice, and I know they're good people, and they will explain everything right up front.
Right.
So there's no reason to get hooked into a television commercial where you don't, a nationwide thing. Our guys locally, our people locally can handle this. At least that's what I would do if I were in the situation.
Yeah, it brings to mind one other thing too. There are companies that promote we'll do VA claims for you, but it'll cost you X amount of money. Yes, they will. But if you come to your local county service officer, i.e. me, in this county, I'll do it for you for free and never charge you.
That's right. And that more good information right there. That's more good information.
And that's why each county has one of me.
Mm-hmm.
So believe it or not, personalities sometimes do clash for whatever the reason. You are more than free to go to another county to file a federal claim. You can do it anywhere. So
you can do it anywhere in the country or state?
Anywhere in the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's, so veterans traveling or whatever, or they move, or they're out there for you to help. Each state has me.
And that's a good thing. You know,
it is. Sure it is.
We're in a time where the military and the police, even fire, are not held up with the regard that I think that they should be.
Yeah.
And I know that's not your problem. You got into this business for a reason, and I know your heart's into it. So what we can do, again, whether you're in combat or not, but if you're in a war zone, it's a dirty business. It's just a lot of things can happen. It really can. And,
well, combat's a war zone. You wake up, that might be the last morning you wake up.
That's true.
That's, by God's grace, I was never there.
Right.
So.
Dan Lewandowski is with the Webster County Veterans Affairs Office. He's the director, of course. Shall I say executive director? That sounds good. You may contact the Webster County Veterans Affairs Office by calling 515-573-1479. That's 573-1479. They're open Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 4. You should probably call first. The office is at 723 First Avenue South here in town. That's 723 First Avenue South here in town. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Ford Dodge. We're going to talk
And I was just glad to not have that to worry about. So it was a pretty easy switch.
And his advice for growers considering making the switch to Enlist E3 soybeans in 2023?
Spray early, get the weeds when they're small. That's a good practice anyway, but I think that's extra important there. You have to do that rescue treatment if stuff gets away. You'd have to throw in a Liberty and something like that. It gets expensive. But it really, I have a day job besides farming, and I can't always hit optimal spray windows, and also have a sprayer that I share with a neighbor. So we kind of have to balance that. Who's got the sprayer today? And just having a bigger window and not have to worry about, again, the drift and the volatilization really took a load off.
Visit enlist.com to learn more. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with Corteva.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
And we're on StreamYard as well. And if you, let's see, we got an echo here. Randy Evans is our guest, formerly of the Des Moines Register. Are you there with me, Randy? You're gone.
Oops.
All right. Okay. All right. You're with me on StreamYard, though.
Yes.
Okay. That's all we really need. All right. Yeah. If you go to my Facebook page at Michael Devine, that's Devine, or the radio station Facebook page, AM 1400 KVFD, you'll see the charming Randy Evans, and it's great to have you back on the air with us after all this time, Randy. And thank you for looking as old as I am, by the way.
Yes, I didn't have to prepare for that.
Randy is a longtime journalist, a lifelong journalist, as a matter of fact, worked for many years for the Des Moines Register, and lately his talents have been on Iowa Capital Dispatch, which I recommend to you, by the way. I'm not trying to take a shot at any of the newspapers necessarily, but the Iowa Capital Dispatch will give you the news, and they will give you thoroughly investigated news in a non-biased fashion. That's something the newspapers seem to have picked up. Some of the newspapers, Des Moines Register, seem to have picked up on the popularity of talk radio over the years and began to get very opinionated, very brash in their reporting, I think. That's okay. I mean, me and the other talk radio guys will continue to bark. But I certainly still appreciate straight up really good investigative news. And Randy Evans has done that in the situation at Linmar. And I'm going to have that piece by Randy Evans from the Iowa Capital Dispatch up on Facebook as soon as I can. But the situation is this. Linmar, as you know, and Jake Hall from the Iowa Standard has talked to me about this on air. Jake's a pretty conservative guy, of course. But there is a big push to teach transgender ideology in Linmar School. And Linmar School especially. As a matter of fact, Governor Reynolds pointed to Linmar School particularly when she kicked off her Parents Matter conversation. Governor Reynolds, of course, was in town last week, and she referenced Parents Matters and that she would make sure that schools are representing the interest of parents and that parents matter. So apparently, and I did not know this until I read Randy's piece, one woman in particular was getting kind of rowdy. And this is a situation that does bring up a lot of passion in parents. So, Randy, why don't you tell us what happened at Linmar in regard to this lady?
The woman has kids in the Linmar schools. The Linmar School Board was...
Randy, excuse me, Randy, do you have your speakerphone on?
I don't know. I just have the laptop.
Oh, that's all you need. Okay, you were breaking up just a little bit there. Your picture's perfect, but please continue.
The Linmar School Board was meeting to in one of their monthly sessions. The woman who has kids in the school routinely would attend meetings, but she was not a regular participant. But this. One of the actions that was under consideration was to hire an outside consultant to provide some programming to students focused on emotional and social learning.
Right, yeah.
And she had a legitimate question, I believe, and that was, parents had the right to take their kids out of these programs, but the parents really didn't know what was going to be taught in these sessions, and that was what her question was. And the presiding member of the school board told her that she was not recognized to speak, began pounding the gavel and ordered her to be quiet and sit down. And the mother explained that she wanted to know how she was to make this decision if she didn't know more about the program. And the ultimate outcome was that the Marion police officer, who was at the school board meetings routinely, was directed to escort her from the room. A few days later, she received a letter from the superintendent and the school board president informing her that she was barred from attending any future school board meetings for a period of 12 months. She retained a lawyer in Des Moines and has sued the school district.
Good for her.
The Iowa's public meetings law allows government entities to set what are called reasonable rules for the conduct of their meetings. The law allows anybody to attend. It does not give the public the right to speak. And the attorney for the woman believes that a 1-year ban from the school board meetings is not really reasonable.
Yeah.
And it's hard to disagree with that.
Was she threatening, do you know, or was she
No.
disturbing the meeting, or
the item was on the consent agenda, and people who attend government meetings will understand that the consent agenda is the non-controversial items on the agenda that will be approved in one big vote. One of the school board members had asked that it be taken out of the consent agenda so it could be discussed individually. The woman was, she was insistent, but she was not disruptive. She stood up and politely said that, this was a question that she had. She had not disrupted meetings in the past. She had spoken once before at a school board meeting, but I don't think I don't think it meets the definition of reasonableness, because if you follow the public school boards in Iowa in the last couple of years, they have been dealing with a lot of hot potato issues, if you will, masks, LGBTQ issues, etc. And it is not surprising to me that a parent, is wanting a question like this answered before the school board votes on something like hiring this consultant. It's a very unfortunate situation, because I don't believe that the public school boards in Iowa are going to build trust and confidence with their local citizens if they're barring people from attending meetings, if they're having police officers escort people out of the rooms. It's, what occurred in the Linn-Mar school board meeting was not like what occurred in the Des Moines City Council meeting some months ago, where
civil rights protesters, right?
Black Lives Matter protesters brought the meeting to a standstill by standing on the chairs, standing directly in front of the city council members and shouting at the tops of their voices.
Profanity a lot of times too.
And that, that's a different matter from standing up and politely asking a question, I think.
Well, there's also, if our institutions, and I'm not saying all of our institutions, but if an institution in our state or country is left of center in their political belief, it's much more difficult to sanction Black Lives Matter. than it is to tell a parent, an ordinary parent in the Linn-Mar School District, to shut up and go home. You're barred. I mean, a Black Lives Matter person, that wouldn't have happened at the Linn-Mar school. But if you have a woman like, and you don't know me that way very well, Randy, but I'm very much attuned to class prejudice. I think class prejudice is as ugly as any other sort of prejudice. And sometimes it seems the education establishment in the state of Iowa just looks at parents like, what do you know? Now, I'm not trying to assign Randy Evans here of Iowa Capital Dispatch to what I'm saying. I speak for myself, and so does he. But that's what it looks like what's happening. And we discussed this on the phone earlier, Randy. A few weeks ago, we had a young man, 13 years old, he was a kid, come to school and tell one of his friends to hide in the bathroom because he was going to get a gun and shoot the place up. Our reporter, Brooke Bickford, went over there right away because Brooke has an alarm on her phone, has a police app on her phone. And the place was on lockdown, as that's exactly what should happen, of course. Our local law enforcement, by the way, behaved in a very rapid and orderly way and ensured everybody's safety. But of course, we were talking about it on the radio for quite a while. And the school was still on lockdown. And Brooke live streamed the parking lot that showed, what a surprise, Randy, anxious parents who had heard the reports that a young man had threatened to shoot the place up and they couldn't get their kids out of school. They were angry about it. The school's response was less than conciliatory toward the parents, let me put it that way. Now, even, I don't know how long ago, this was 2-3 months ago, there was a bomb threat at the school, Randy, a bomb threat. Do you think parents would be interested in knowing if there was a bomb threat at school? The Fort Dodge school system waited 2 days, two days before they released information on the bomb threat. Now, Fort Dodge has had a lot of bomb threats over the years. My son's 40 years old, and there were bomb threats in school when he was there. But that should not preclude the school district and the education officials from informing parents, especially in this time where we are so concerned about crazy shooters attacking our schools. A 15-year-old boy in Richmond, Virginia, killed 5 people in his neighborhood. No motive, just craziness. So it's not that parents don't have something to be genuinely concerned about, and it's not that school districts don't have an obligation to explain themselves, Randy, because they do. Did they give any explanation as to why this woman was kicked out of a school board meeting for a year? Or they just didn't like her, or this one incident? If she'd only spoke at a school board meeting once before, and this was her second time, and they kicked her out for a year, that's wild.
Yeah, the explanation was that was in the letter was that she was disruptive and disrespectful. I have been around. I've orbited the sun more times than I would care to acknowledge, and I have been attending school board meetings for going back to the last century, and I think most educators would tell you that by far the biggest issue facing whether it's public education or private education these days is getting parents engaged. It's not like there's a standing room only audience for school board meetings. And so when you have a parent who shows up, whether they follow the policies and procedures to the letter, I'm not going to dispute that. But if you analyze what the parent was there to do was simply to ask a question and she hoped to get an answer about why she wouldn't be able to know what was going to be conveyed in these sessions with this outside consultant before the sessions were held. And to me, that is entirely reasonable, and a savvy school board presiding officer would have found a way to calm things down if whatever the disruption was. I mean, if you watch the video of the meeting, by far more disruptive of the decorum and the process and the progress of the meeting was the school board president banging on the gavel, yelling to the woman to be quiet and directing that she be escorted out of the meeting. That caught my attention far more than the voice level of the woman and what she was asking. And I think it boils down to a question of reasonableness, and the lawsuit that has been filed on her behalf questions whether the punishment fits the crime of asking a question without being properly authorized to speak.
That's a bridge too far for me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to tell me that I'm a old school conservative red
Truth
state,
would be the defense there.
yeah, truth, yeah, I'm going to agree with you. But Randy's not in that category. This is why I wanted Randy to come on. This is basic reporting, ladies and gentlemen. Randy's giving you some basic reporting 101. You graduated from the University of Iowa, didn't you?
Yes, many years ago.
that age thing is bothering you a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah. But even back when I graduated, the football team wasn't winning either.
Football team wasn't winning either, huh? Yeah, we could talk about integrity in the University of Iowa football program as well. Apparently Brian Ferentz, the offensive coordinator, who's doing such a bang-up job, it works for Gary Barta, even though Iowa has a nepotism rule.
Well, what good is nepotism if you can't keep it in the family?
Yeah, what good is nepotism if you can't keep it in their family? 100% correct. No, there's, this is why we need people with basic reporting skills like Randy Evans. Randy's made a couple of remarks here that he might be getting a little older. He is, and I am, but we believe in the truth. I do a lot of opinion, but I believe in the truth. And what's happening at Linn-Mar and Fort Dodge Senior High School is not the truth, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the truth. I want to tell you something, Randy, and we're getting close to the end of our time. I made a couple of calls to school board members to ask about improper books in the library, what some people would consider improper books in our library. Now, the two people I've called most, I've known for years. I consider them friends. I consider them good people. They never got back to me. Had the superintendent of schools, former superintendent of schools, who was going to come on the air with me and then refused and left the city. I've hit a stone wall, frankly, Randy, when I want to talk or ask questions about policy at the Fort Dodge school system. We're just a town of 25,000 people, and it shouldn't be like this in a small Iowa town. What town are you a native Iowan? You are, aren't you?
Yes, I grew up in Bloomfield, down in the end of southern Iowa.
I know where Bloomfield is. Well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We're small town Iowa people.
And, one of the benefits that local government has is being closer to the people than state government or the federal government is. But if local government officials and local government board members are declining to speak with citizens or journalists, it's not helping the whole relationship at all.
If there is a wall of suspicion and separation between parents and teachers, I'd say the education establishment brought it on, frankly. And it's due to some of the things we've been talking about today. Randy Evans, I would recommend him to you. I would recommend the Iowa Capital Dispatch to you as well. Thank you, Randy, very much.
It's always a pleasure, Michael.
All right.
March down a penny at $14. May down 2 cents at $14.07. Soybean meal closed down 10 cents a ton at $4.11. October live cattle up 92 cents at $147.87. December up $1.42 at $149.20. October feeder cattle up 95 cents at $174.75. November up $162 at $176.40. December lean hogs up $270 at $84.95. February up $255 at $85.97. April up $265 at $89.60. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Michael Devine
You're very clever, my charming little friend,
with more stimulating talk radio.
but not clever enough.
Well, that's right. I was never very clever, that's for sure. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Our guest is Nick Eckel, and he is with Fort Dodge Fiber. You are the customer service guy.
Yes, sir.
What is your correct title? It's probably not customer service guy.
I am the customer experience manager for
Customer experience. I'm about to have an experience.
Something
I
like
love
that.
having experience. That's an old Jimi
Well,
Hendrix
let's make it a
song.
good one.
Have you ever been experienced? We're about to be experienced with Fort Dodge Fiber. So the first question I have is I just assume that I'm first in line to have the fiber connected to my home. Is that correct?
Cannot confirm nor deny.
Well, I would certainly like it, but I don't know how techie you are, but what is the benefit of fiber over other services in your mind?
Fiber over other services. Fiber is much more reliable. It's much more quicker. And the way that we're doing our network right now is we're going around town digging the fiber into the ground. So we're not going to have the weather related outages that you might have when you have aerial
Yeah.
internet cables and such running around town.
Satellite dishes, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people have them. I had one for a while. What's the difference between fiber and cable?
Fiber and cable. So fiber is made out of glass. Fiber is made out of glass, while cable can be made out of copper and other metals.
Okay.
And there's a limit to how fast cable can transmit information and data. When fiber, you're going by glass, which is by the speed of light.
No kidding. Wow.
Yes.
You can go ahead and pull that arm. I'm
Sounds
sorry. I
good.
should have set you up a little bit.
Well, it's all good.
That's perfect right there. Thank you very much. Yeah, you're really doing it. Nick Eckel is our guest, and he's with Fort Dodge Fiber. That's interesting. Glass. It must be not window pane, certainly.
No.
It must be some could you explain that to us a little bit or not?
No. So the
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
No, it's all
here.
good. And I'm very fortunate. So I have a great team around me with Jeremy Person, our director, with Greg Hins, our fiber operations supervisor, also Audrey Douglas, our fiber utility locator, and then also Millie Godwin, our account technician. So they are able to answer a lot of these tech related questions about fiber.
Well, maybe we can talk with them sometime.
Absolutely.
That would be terrific. Nick Eckel is our guest from Fort Dodge Fiber. So let's talk about first of all television. A lot of people watch a lot of television. I do, certainly.
Yep.
Are we going to have a pretty comprehensive lineup like the other services offer or not?
So Fort Dodge Fiber is not offering television services.
All right.
We are offering internet and phone service. Now,
Okay.
that being said, we found that a majority of consumers, they're migrating to streaming television platforms such as YouTube TV or Hulu or Netflix
That's
or
what I
Disney
have.
Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife has all of them. So
she does, huh?
So the benefit of having a high-speed, reliable internet network like Fort Dodge Fiber means that you're going to be able to stream those services over your television and be able to have just as reliable of a television network than you would over traditional cable or satellite.
Right.
Now, one of the things that our staff at our customer service center, which is opening up this Friday down at Citizen Central at 617 Central Avenue. We will be having workshops over various lunchtimes throughout the next coming months where we'll invite consumers into the customer service center to work up and see how does this exactly work with these streaming television services, because I completely get new technology. There's a little bit of uncertainty with how I go about installing this. We'd be more than happy to give tutorials.
That's great. So where do we find that information as far as when these meetings at Citizen Central
Yep,
are.
those have yet to be determined, but
Oh.
throughout the course of the winter months going into the next spring, that's the intention.
Because I'm a senior citizen and I definitely want to take advantage of those meetings.
Yeah, and the more the merrier, and we'll make sure that we publish those on our social media pages. If you're not following Fort Dodge Fiber on Facebook, please be sure to do so. We're also on Instagram and Twitter. And then also we have our website, www.fortdodgefiber.com.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm glad you're doing that. You know, sometimes you get a new technology and people are just kind of want to back away from it. They don't know what it
Absolutely.
is.
And that's one of the great things about having a locally owned company within town, that if you ever have any questions or any concerns, we're just down at 617 Central Avenue. You come on in, ask the questions, and if I can't answer it, we'll make sure that we find somebody that can.
You know, I get YouTube and HBO Max
Okay.
because I like the HBO programs. I don't get the rest of
I've
it.
never seen Sopranos.
You've never seen Sopranos?
Never seen
God, I've
Sopranos.
seen all the episodes about 3 times, I think. But anyway, the point being is that my bill for that service is about $95 a month.
Okay.
Randy Kuhlman, friend of mine who does a sports show here, a couple of weeks ago said for his television service it's $180.
Interesting.
Now, the only thing that you lose, and you gain a lot, I think the picture quality is much better, certainly than cable services. And I don't know about all the dish services or direct TV or those sorts of things, but streaming does offer a pretty good picture.
Yes.
The thing that you lose is the instant gratification. You can't go from channel 13 to channel 5 right away. You know, you have to, go through an extra step to get to ABC as opposed to NBC.
Hey, I'm willing to pay a little bit less and do a little bit more.
Well, that's my point. If it saves me $90 a month,
Absolutely.
which is let's see, $900, it would be a $900 savings after 10 months, and then another $180. So I'm saving $1,080 by losing that little convenience. I'm okay, and gaining a lot of other things.
Absolutely.
By the way. So that's what I do in my personal life. I've gotten away from the more traditional services, and I certainly took the antenna off my roof some years ago.
Yeah. That's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to step in and provide a service, and hopefully in the long run be able to save our citizens here in Fort Dodge some money.
And maybe get arguably better service.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's up to the individual. There'll be people that stay where they are, and that's their business.
Yep.
But it's good to have a choice.
Absolutely. Our goal, we're trying to provide the best internet, the best customer service that we possibly can. And it's our hope that by us doing that, everybody in the marketplace is going to step up their game, and everybody in the town is going to benefit regardless of who their provider is.
Yes. Nick Eccles, our guest. He's with Fort Dodge Fiber. Am I putting the correct emphasis in your name there, Nick?
Hey, I've been called many things, so you're doing just fine.
Nick's with Fort Dodge Fiber. By the way, if you have a question for Nick, he's going to be around here about 7 or 8 more minutes. That's all. So if you'd like to ask him a question, now is the time. 515-955-1400. You don't have a problem with that there, do you?
Absolutely not.
Because you're the customer experience guy.
I'm here to provide an experience.
And you're here. You are. This is an experience. So when do we? I keep asking Plouts, or not Plouts, but David Furyk, who will be in later on, as a matter of fact.
Oh, cool.
Good guy. And I see the installers all over town.
Yes.
They've already been up in this neighborhood.
Yep.
I saw them the other day on the south side of town. When's the completion date expected? I mean, we're heading into a time of year. I don't think there's a trenching machine that can bust up the hard ground.
No, we're going as fast as we can, trying to beat Mother Nature.
Yeah.
Because once things start to freeze, it's kind of hard to go in trench. That being said, throughout the course of the winter months, one of our contractors will be reaching out to citizens to be able to schedule site surveys. Now, a site survey is where the contractor will schedule a time with the homeowner to come out and work with them about where do we bring the fiber line through the yard up to the home, because we don't want to hit anything like an abandoned gold mine or a cistern or an invisible fence like that. And we also want to see where it's best to put that fiber box, the utility box, on the side of the house. And then also, where do we tunnel into the house to be able to go and put the modem, right?
Right.
So citizens should be on the lookout for those in the next couple months. And then once we get back into the spring, it's all engines go. We're going to try and complete this project by the end of 2024. 2024. When you have an infrastructure project of this magnitude, it does take time. We're trying to connect almost 25,000 people to a network, and that will take time.
By the way, we have talked a lot on this program about going to FortDodgeFiber.com and signing up.
Yeah.
Signing up does not mean you have to take Fort Dodge Fiber. It means you are interested, and it's an indication to the investors that there's enough interest to proceed.
Absolutely.
So we've been doing that for a while on this radio show.
Yeah.
So do we have enough interest for the investors to proceed?
Yeah. So right now we're at just a couple registrations shy of 3,500 homes and businesses within the city of Fort Dodge. Now, to put that in perspective, we estimate that there's about 11,000 premises within the city of Fort Dodge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about 31% of our community that has gone and signed up. We are encouraging people to go and sign up, especially in the first zone of construction, because we're going to be going there very soon, and you don't want to get passed by.
No, you don't.
No. And when we're looking at fiber drops and getting registered, Fort Dodge Fiber is absorbing all the cost of these fiber drops. Now, when we get past 2024 and the construction ends, more than likely there's going to be a service charge for us to come out to a home that had not signed up and get them connected.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, connect me.
Yeah.
I'm right up the street, buddy.
Hey, and if you ever have questions like am I connected, or any questions about Fort Dodge Fiber, please feel free to reach out to my email. It's nekel@fortdodgefiber.com. Totally happy to answer any questions and to make sure that people are registered.
Better give that one more time, pal.
Yep, that's N as in Nick, EKEL@fortdodgefiber.com.
All right, good enough. Is there a phone number?
Yeah, that would be 515-302-8929.
Can you be reached on? Well, you gave the one address. Is Fort Dodge Fiber got an email address?
Yep, that's FD, F as in Frank, D as in Dodge, at fortdodgefiber.com.
And you can find out all this by going to the website.
Correct, www.fortdodgefiber.com.
Well, we want to get the information. That's why you're here, man. We want to get the information going here.
Of course.
So all the streaming services will be available through Fort Dodge Fiber.
Negative. So the streaming services are purchased by the customer a la carte.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Fort Dodge Fiber is not providing streaming television services.
I said that right. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I said that right. I said that wrong. So Fort Dodge Fiber will be able to make available
absolutely
all of the streaming services.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes I go somewhere there, Nick. Sorry. Everybody that listens to me knows that. My tongue gets tangled up in my lips or something. I don't know what happened. Anyway, what are we missing here, Nick? Are we missing something?
Yeah, so I want to make it available to all the public. We are having our grand opening of our customer service center down at 617 Central Avenue, where C2 is located. That will run from 3:30 until 5:30. We will have live music. We will have food catered by Old Boston's, appetizers. We will also have Lorita's world famous cookies available there. The Fort Dodge Growth Alliance is going to have a ribbon cutting at 4 p.m. on that Friday. So please come on out, see what we've been up to, and see where the home of Fort Dodge Fiber is going to be located.
That's terrific. That's outstanding.
Yeah, we're really excited. A lot of people are putting a lot of work into making sure that this is going to be a awesome event, and make sure that the place is welcoming and going to be there for everybody.
Yeah, that's
me personally. I'm really excited about the customer service counter where we're going to have Keurig coffees. Kind of partial to my coffee.
You like that, huh?
Let's move on.
Now Fort Dodge Fiber isn't going to go that far out of town, are they? If they go out of town at all?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike, because we've had that come up a lot. Fort Dodge Fiber is only going to be within the city limits of Fort Dodge. So now let's say that you live in Coleman and you're outside of city limits. What you could do is you could get in contact with me, and I can make sure that I would refer you to another municipal telecom that's outside our service area.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's some of our people that. Coleman, you know where the Coleman edition is. Will they be eligible for Fort Dodge Fiber?
Only within city limits.
And the Coleman isn't really in city limits.
Right.
Pleasant Valley, it's not. You can't get that either.
I don't believe so.
All right. Pleasant Valley and Coleman are kind of connected down there.
Yep, you're a little bit. Pleasant Valley, you are able to get because you're within the city limits, but Coleman, you're outside city limits.
No kidding, I didn't know.
Yep, it runs right down 19th Avenue South.
Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Well, sorry, Coleman people. Anyway, yeah. Anybody have a question? If not, we're gonna cut Nick loose. But I'm so glad, Nick, that you were able to come here on such short notice.
Yeah, anytime.
Been trying to get you over here, and we got it done, and this is all good. So we should have a great Fort Dodge Fiber experience.
Hey, when we have Fort Dodge Fiber, we'll have a direct connection. Okay.
There we go. All right, that's going to be way cool. Talk about just before you go, talk about the internet service a little bit.
Yes.
Is it going to be much faster or slower or?
Oh, it's going to be faster. So what I can tell you is that we're going to have 3 tiers of residential service. So you'll have a 100 meg tier, and that's going to have symmetrical upload and download. There's going to be no data cap, and there's going to be no contract. So we go month to month because we want to earn your business. So that 100 meg plan, that's going to be $75 a month. We'll have a 500 meg plan at $85 a month, and we'll have a 1 gig plan at $95 a month. Now there will be a added fee if somebody wants to have a managed Wi-Fi system. That's going to be $10 additional a month. So a managed Wi-Fi system, what's that? Great question.
Great question.
That is where you could call up to Fort Dodge Fiber and say, hey, Nick, my internet's down. What's going on? And I can log into your profile and say, oh, we see that it could be an issue that we need to reset the router. And we can work with you that way. Or if it's something a little bit more technically demanding, we can dispatch a technician to go out there and take care of what's going on.
All right. Nick Eccles.